Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our global TV deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation, because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it break a bad feeling to all wicked men. Not a people there. Make a man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear now hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside a rub and cheat, and not press the floor. Make up what I seen to. Make a man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a plan. Make a man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. My favorite part, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red, how they want to see the day them can sell out Rasta and sell it out, I sell out Babylon. They give man show one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. They give man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the dead and can sell out Rasta, I sell out, I sell out Babylon. Just stop on the Friday. You might go and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black thing, man, throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let him see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one. Big him and show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black. Big him and show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rastaman show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men.
My father Banya, my father Banya, my grandmother Banya, my grandmother Banya, Ayana Ibanya, Ayana Ibanya, my leader Banya, my leader Banya. That's why I not live here. No, I not live here. He gave I a message to all those people who no love progress, who no love progress. Say to juke them with land lease, say to juke them with land lease, let the juke them with the pioneer war, juke them with the pioneer war, juke them with Jamal, juke them with Jamal, then you juke them with free education, juke them with free education. Equal pay for women, equal pay for women. Took them with the minimum wage, took them with the minimum wage. My leader Banya, my leader Banya. So let me God I not live ya. No, I not live ya. Me a sat down with discipline. And every man he in a the struggle too. He in a the struggle too. No bastard, no day again. No bastard, no day again. Everyone laughful. Oh, oh, everyone laughful. To every the Cuban school. To every the Cuban school.
Good morning and leg of the campaign. Hold on a second. Good morning, and welcome to the final leg of the campaign. Immediately on swearing in, we may have to ask Mr. Golden to restore citizenship rights for the entire country and give a declaration and the damning information, the heist that we've just learned that Babs Grange and Andrew Holness carried out against the Maroons. Of course, Andrew Holness and Donald Trump have to give a parting shot when they lose their grip on power. Could we see an insurrection in our country on Thursday morning when the Jamaica Labour Party realizes that power has just slipped away overnight? Good morning. Welcome to Global TV. Thank you all for joining us this morning. We told you that we will come on at ungodly hours for the next few days up until we have a declaration of the new Prime Minister, which will be Mark Jefferson Golden. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Like and share the live, please, to my community of party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, via subscribers, commenters, and trolls. Good morning to the Minister of Agriculture with the green t-shirt and the $6,000. Good morning, £1,000 up from JC minus the KFC, Mr. Green. Good morning, globalists. Morning all and welcome. How do? Andrew Holness will not stop at anything. And when I say anything, I mean the Prime Minister will pull anything out of the bag of fairy tales. Because this Prime Minister walks with a bag of fairy tale and he stops at nothing to pull one out as and when it chooses the small mindset that our Prime Minister operates in. Just like on Mount Golden producing his birth certificate, the Prime Minister went on to tell us, oh no, that's not the citizenship rights we're talking about. we are talking about, said the Prime Minister. Choices that you make, that's the citizenship rights we're talking about. With the ignorance, TikTok, you start violating me already. What have I done, TikTok? You and your sabotage. As according to the Prime Minister, with the ignorance or the deliberately discarding the clause of the Constitution and citizenship rights, we may have to ask Mr. Golden to make sure the nation mind is settled on our citizenship rights. When you hear Andrew Holness say these things, it will sound gimmickry. But with dictatorship, what you have is a slow walk. You don't just get up overnight, end up into a dictatorship. It's not really like that. It's more of a slow walk. Paint it in your mind, like telling we say we're not Jamaican by birth, or the various other things that Andrew Holness would do that violate our rights. It's a slow sleepwalk into dictatorship. Before we go on to the information we come about this morning with the Maroods, because share the live, because we want the live build up before we go off to that. We will remind you quickly of Prime Minister Holness voter suppression, because that is one of the danger that is pulled out of the Prime Minister's bag of fairy tale during this election cycle. Disenfranchisement and voter suppression. Clear violation of the Constitution. Clear violation of our Constitution. Voter suppression and disenfranchisement of voters. This Prime Minister stops at nothing to breach our rights or to take away the God-given rights and power we've been given under the Constitution. He will stop at nothing. This is why we continuously warned you about the dangers of Andrew Holness. When we talk about the dangers of Andrew Holness, it's not that part of it is not plain politics. We have given you many examples. You have seen many examples. You have heard many utterances of this Prime Minister that should wake you up, let your mind start thinking, what on earth does he mean when he says this? And even before we come to Rowan James and voter suppression, we will go back to how the Prime Minister deal with students who question the Prime Minister on a legislative matter that would affect how we access services in our country, something that the Supreme Court did not agree with. Let us assess if this is what you want for another 5 years.
Good night, everyone. My name is Daniel Thomas. My issue that I would like to raise at this time is with respect to needs. We are not against a national ID. In its current form, it poses significant issues for many Jamaicans. 60,000 Jamaicans here and abroad who feel that there needs to be more consultation, ventilation of the issues, pros and cons. Withdraw the bill. Allow for proper ventilation of issues over a 3-month period even. Town hall meetings and joint select committee where we can properly speak about the many, many issues that are in the bill. We're not against the bill, but we are for the country of Jamaica moving forward. Thanks.
Well, I'm very happy that we find common ground, being that.
Right, what this young man was really going on about to Andrew Holness is how Andrew Holness was rushing this bill through Parliament without proper consultation, something that will affect all of us as Jamaican, where it is not widely discussed or widely consulted or widely publicized as to the effect of the bill. It's not properly debated. debated in the House of Parliament. It's not proper scrutinized by the committees which Holness take them and mess them up by giving it to his JLP's loyalists to control, where those committees are normally controlled by the opposition or his JLP backbenchers. That's how the committees are done. So he was saying to the Prime Minister, hold on, let us discuss it as a nation first. What are the long-term implications? This is what he was basically saying to the Prime Minister. Don't rush. Do not rush. Let's do it timely so everybody can understand the effect of it. Listens to the Prime Minister's response.
We are both for the country moving forward.
You already asked.
We've asked the question.
No, you already asked.
No, it was rhetorical. Okay, fine. Like many other things, it's rhetorical. Fine. What's new? You talk about consultation. You know what I reject?
Yes, I'm monitoring.
Do you know what I reject?
Conference. We'll go over
I
there
reject the view that somehow you have a higher moral authority on this matter than I do. I'm not here to create a system that is going to deprive Jamaicans of their freedom. And you know what else?
But the bill
I am not hiding from consultation. I am here facing the questions. Unlike most, I am facing the questions and answering them.
A few moments later.
My name is Glendon Martin. I am a student of the University of Technology. What I have to say, well, I have a comment actually. The gentleman that asked the question on NIDS, Mr. Prime Minister, I was taken aback by the way you responded to the question. I felt that you came across too strong. I was listening to you. I was saying, should I go and ask this gentleman a question? Will he answer me in the same tone that he answered the young man? And what I want to say and what I want to see in Jamaica or overall with politics is that our politicians behave sometimes, even in Parliament, when you see them jumping over, arguing with each other. Our young people are looking at this and they're saying this is something that is right because the politicians, the leaders of our country, this is something that they do. So, Mr. Prime Minister, I would like for you to, first of all, apologize on the way you responded to the question. And secondly, allow me to finish, please.
Okay, the press conference link has come live. We will go to the press conference, and then after we come back from the press conference, we will get down to what we really come out here for today. Let me use this time to try get TikTok link ready on the TikTok. I'm going to reverse your screen. The projector won't be very bright today because it's daytime, so the daytime view on the projector is not all that. Hold on. You can't see. No. You can't see nothing. I'm just setting up TikTok's screen for the projector. Let me turn off the light because it will give TikTok a little bit better view. It will give TikTok a little bit better view. So, oops, sorry about that. Hold on there. Hold on the global.
Security guards and
Here with
hospitality workers have been taxed on their overtime and gratuities.
after the press
That
conference,
ends
we'll
with
go
the next
back to
PNP
our
government.
programming. All right.
We
Morning,
will
everyone.
remove
Welcome,
taxes
welcome.
from overtime
Like
pay
and share the
and
live
service
because
charges.
some
Because
exposures
if you give more,
of
you should
underholdness
keep
are
more.
going to be
You put in the extra
out
work.
today.
You go
I
beyond the
didn't
call of
realize
duty.
it until
Your
this morning. Maybe a lot of you have not heard it. Maybe
sacrifice
some of you have
should
heard
be
it.
rewarded,
But
not taxed.
major
It is time for
exposure when it comes to Babsy Green
fairness.
and
It is
Andrew
time for
Holness.
respect.
What
Jamaica,
they did
time
for
come for a better life.
The proceeding was paid for by
They're having internet issues on the ground already.
the
Hope
People's
it gets
National
better.
Party. The following is paid for by the People's National Party.
Prematurity is a medical condition.
Let me pull them on
not
Facebook
a
and
cause of
see how
I'm
it
not
looks
speaking to you
over
as
there.
just a politician, not as a PNP, not as a doctor, but as a Jamaican. We must put Jamaicans first. We must modernize hospitals and clinics, expand primary care, train and keep more nurses and doctors, strengthen maternal and child health, and expand mental health services in every parish. This is about more than healthcare. It is about life, dignity, and hope. Because in a new Jamaica, no mother should fear losing her baby or her own life, and no Jamaican should be left without care. Jamaica, time come for a better life.
The proceeding was paid for by the People's National Party.
That second chance through mentorship, training, remedial education, and job placement
Final
could become a
dangers
positive
of
contributor to our
underholdness.
society instead of chopping and pushing badness. Time come to use your vote to change that. Find out everything you need to know about voting at markgoldingja.com/vote. Remember, get out and vote. Your voice, your vote, your choice. Domestic violence is higher than ever. Violent crime is fed by a general lack of moral norms, discipline, and behavioral standards in this society. We must address this. Time come to establish legislation with effective mechanisms and remedies to protect survivors. Time come to implement support centers in every parish to provide safe havens for the survivors of domestic violence and sexual assaults. Your vote matters.
Jamaican people want better.
Education. Education is the best antidote to poverty, passing from this generation to the next. Your vote can help to make tertiary education more accessible to everyone. Your vote can help eliminate the requirement of a guarantor for students to access a student loan. It can help to cap student loan payments at a manageable percentage of your actual income so that the state, not you, the student, bears the risks of low pay or unemployment. And if you lose your job and you're unemployed, we will suspend loan payments and tack them to the back end of your loan without any penalties. That's what your vote can do. Find out everything you need to know about voting at markgoldingja.com/vote. Remember, get out and vote. Your voice, your vote, your choice. Our environment. We need a government that means what it says when it comes to protecting our environment. The Cockpit country, our rivers, our mangroves, coral reefs, and our beaches. That doesn't just say nice sounding things at international climate conventions, but meanwhile allows what's happening here in Jamaica.
No,
to
Mr.
destroy
Cool, me
our
just a
natural
command.
environment permanently. We need a government that ensures that the National Environmental and Planning Agency, NEPA, is really independent and can protect us. That will amend the law so that there are heavy penalties on big polluters who recklessly damage our country. We know climate change is real, and we're willing to fight for change. Find out everything you need to know about voting.
They should uncover their screen shortly and start telling us what they're here about today. And after the press conference, we'll go back to our scheduling. We're going to bring some exposure to you on Andrews and Babs Grange assault on the Cockpit country. That information we're going to bring to you today. We're just waiting for the press conference to get started. But while we're waiting for the press conference to come up, isn't it a sad thing when a junior, a university student, have to take a prime minister, the leader of a country, to task, telling him about his demeanor and the mannerism and way of public interaction? Isn't that a terrible thing?
Get out and vote.
For a prime minister.
Your voice. Your vote.
I mean, we just did not see where this guy was taking us. And after you look
jobs
at
and wages, so many of you said you wanted to become successful, to help out your families and enjoy your life. Do you realize that many of the world's largest businesses today are in the same age range as many of you? Amazon, 28, Google, 24, Facebook 18, Instagram 12, and TikTok is 6. New technologies will continue to disrupt and supersede existing industries. And as the world goes increasingly digital, Jamaica must not be left behind. We need our own digital transformation, bringing affordable broadband internet to every Jamaican home to help our young Jamaicans to compete and outshine their peers across the world. Your vote can help us to make those necessary changes. Find out everything you need to know about voting at markgoldingja.com/vote. Remember, get out and vote. Your voice, your vote, your choice.
There comes a point in each person's life where they are tasked with an important decision. A decision that may affect not only them, but also their country.
Change gon' come, change gon' come, yes it will.
A decision to keep things the way they are, or a decision that will bring meaningful change. We choose change to provide wider access to homes and land ownership, for good health care.
There's a travel advisory issued by the U.S. State Department advising of the poor state of our hospitals and the prohibitive costs associated with accessing private health care.
And access to quality education from early childhood to the tertiary level. A change to decrease crime and give our youths a chance. A change from unfulfilled promises to renewed trust. A change from corruption to good governance.
If I were in your position, I would take for myself and hand over to someone else who is not compromised.
We choose a Jamaica that is run democratically, not autocratically. We choose a Jamaica where if you break the law, you pay the price, no matter who you are. If, like me, you truly want a better future for all Jamaicans, not just a few, then make the decision to choose change for yourself, for your family, and for Jamaica.
Change gon' come,
As we say, we're waiting for the People's National Party press conference to get on the way. As soon as they get...
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today at this morning's press conference. Cleveland and I will provide some additional information, some required updates and responses to developments across the weekend, as well as to continue to present to the public and the various subgroups that make up the Jamaican population here and abroad, as well as focusing on some segments of the electorate to keep them focused on the correct and appropriate information. As we are now 48 hours away from a new dawn in Jamaica, the elections voting will begin at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, September 3rd, and by 2 p.m., we will have a new PM. So we just want to confirm to our base, our supporters, and to those persons who have been indicating and are making up their minds that the proposal advanced by the People's National Party and by Mark Golding are better proposals for your life over the next 4 to 5 years. Before we get into the details, I'd just like to bring our attention to today's Gleaner editorial, which is entitled Terrorist Bomb Threats. I will read the first few sentences and elaborate on them briefly. It reads, "It is deeply unfortunate that Horace Chang, the National Security Minister, without offering evidence, accused the People's National Party of responsibility for a series of bomb threats at government offices on Friday. Dr. Chang neither gets nor deserves a pass that he acted in his political role as a General Secretary of the governing Jamaica Labour Party. He doesn't have the luxury of alternating skins for, especially when addressing critical matters of national security, including in this case, one of the island's major political parties, of behavior akin to terrorism or something close thereto. If Dr. Chang was briefed to this effect by the police, he should say so, in which case we look forward to the constabulary quickly arresting and prosecuting not only the, quote, PNP elements claimed by Dr. Chang to be responsible for Friday's despicable act, but those who instructed them and on whose behalf they worked." Now, we had responded to this development during our press conference on Friday. 72 hours having passed, there are neither any developments, any announcements from the Jamaica Constabulary Force or a related authority for law enforcement, nor has there been a retraction by the Jamaica Labour Party General Secretary, whether or not he was wearing that skin or the skin of the Minister of National Security. But as the Gleaner editorial outlined, is still the most respected source of news coverage in the Gleaner editorial has outlined the behavior is reprehensible and unacceptable. I move from that to note that the Minister of Local Government, the candidate for the Jamaica Labour Party in West Kingston, has also repeated a phrase that has already gotten the significant pushback by members of the public, including supporters of his party. The claim that they, whoever they are, will not surrender Jamaica. The word surrender is an interesting word, especially this close to general elections. One only has to surrender something that they have taken hold of, either illegally or criminally. It also, I believe, speaks to the mind of the person who has not only uttered it once, but now uttered it on several occasions in front of a base of his party's supporters. And one can only wonder if incidents that have been happening across the island, including in East Central St. Catherine, are related to the charge by the deputy leader of the Jamaica Labour Party regarding not surrendering Jamaica. And I won't, for the purposes of today's conversation, mention what was previously mentioned on Friday, or what many Jamaicans across social media are speaking about, the concept of being Jamaican just on the basis of being born in Jamaica. I find it weird that a team that can't either spell Jamaica or understand how nationality is achieved are now speaking about retaining some hostage grip on Jamaica. But I'd like to introduce to my left Cleveland, who will also be co-anchoring this morning's press conference, and again to thank everyone.
Your audio has gone, Raymond.
For joining us this morning as we share with the public our readiness for the September 3rd election and present a final message of confidence and resilience to the Jamaican people, those who are Jamaican because they were born here, as well as those who are naturalized Jamaicans and those, of course, on the voters list. Cleveland?
Thank you, Raymond. Good morning, Jamaicans, and thank you for joining us for our final press conference ahead of our national broadcast this evening on Television Jamaica at 8 p.m. We want to take the opportunity to reiterate that our policies and our programs have been designed to ensure that every Jamaican can have an opportunity to experience and sustain upward socioeconomic mobility. Our campaign spokesperson chair, Mrs. Donna Scott Motley, usually characterizes our manifesto as one that is wrapped in love. And indeed it is, because when we designed our programs, we did that with the intent to ensure that all Jamaicans can have a better life. And that is why we have put together a suite of policy prescriptions that will not be performative, that will not tinker with the issues, but will solve them in a real and tangible way. And I want to use this opportunity to remind the Jamaican people that when they go to cast their vote on election day, that they should cast it for an improvement in the education outcomes in this country. And to that end, we want to remind you of our RIDE program. Our RIDE program is geared towards providing relief and support for vulnerable parents and children who are based in deep rural areas, who are unable to afford the transportation costs, or unable to meet, rather, the transportation costs to send the child to school. And we have designed this program with the understanding that there needs to be a mixture of transportation modalities that are provided for our students. So whilst we are in support of a structured and coordinated bus program, we also recognize that there are deep rural areas with interior roads where a bus is not appropriate to navigate the hilly terrain in those areas. And in that case, it would necessitate a smaller transportation vehicle, a car, a taxi. So we are very firm and confident that we have designed the right program and that it will be an effective resolution to the challenges that our rural parents face in that side, in those areas of the country. We also want to remind you of our EASE program, ensuring adequate sustenance for education. And this is geared towards providing at least one hot meal per day for all students who need it. We recognize that many times absenteeism is elevated because parents cannot afford the lunch money to send the child to school. And we are saying, send the child to school and we will ensure that the adequate nutrition that is required for effective learning, for the teaching and learning process to be carried out effectively, is done, because we will provide the child with one hot meal per day. And we're doing that with the intent over time to move towards providing breakfast as well. And I know some persons will say, but this is being done by the PATH program. But if you recognize and understand what the real challenges on the ground are, then you will appreciate that there are many children in Jamaica who do not qualify for the PATH program, given the rigidities in the metrics to qualify for it. But they're also struggling to afford a meal per day. And that is what we are geared towards resolving. A major proposal that we have made is the adjustment of the income tax threshold. And there are some on the other side who want to pour doubt on it. We are very confident that we will be able to finance the adjustment of the income tax threshold to $3.5 million. We will relax the primary surplus in the budget, and we can do that. If you examine the 5th schedule of the Financial Administration and Audit Act, and you examine further the equation that is embedded in that section of the act, which was put into law by the last PNP government to ensure a stable debt reduction trajectory, it tells you that given that we are expected to meet the 60% debt to GDP, said that we will also grow the economy at substantial levels that will generate organic growth in tax revenues to finance the adjustment. We did not pull this initiative out of the hat. We sat, we engaged with stakeholders, and we looked at the realities in the country. And the reality is that the middle class in Jamaica is being wiped out. And the reality as well is that Jamaica is heavily taxed. When you look at our tax to GDP ratio relative to other countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, then you will appreciate that Jamaica ranks among the highest country, ranks among the countries with the highest tax to GDP ratio. And against that backdrop, we appreciate that the inflation movement over the last 5 years has reduced the purchasing power of many individuals who earn up to 3.5 million, and even those who earn above. But given that they earn at the lower end of the salary scale, then they are bearing the brunt of the cost of living pressures. So when we will adjust the income tax threshold, we're doing so with our teachers in mind. We're doing so with our nurses, our police officers, members of the Jamaica Defense Force. We are thinking of you. We're thinking about the public servants, who majority of them earn within the region of $3 million to $4 million. You will benefit significantly from our adjustment. This is not a promise. This is a commitment. It will take effect on April 1, 2026. And we will do it without raising taxes, without imposing any new tax, and without adjusting upward any existing tax rate. We will do so because we want you to have more money in your pocket so that you can live a decent life and you can afford a quality of life that is appropriate for all Jamaicans, that affords them the dignity. So, go ahead. We also want to take the opportunity to address what we have taken note of, a promise. And I leave it at that, just a promise from the Jamaica Labour Party to raise the minimum wage to $32,000. We believe that the minimum wage is something that should never be politicized, given the delicacies surrounding an adjustment of it. It requires a careful balancing act to ensure that you are taking into account the implications on both sides of the coin. So the PNP, as expressed in our manifesto on page 31, is committed to a livable wage. And this is not a commitment that we will not carry out. We will carry out all our commitments in our manifesto, but we are particularly passionate about this one because we appreciate the need to ensure that Jamaicans live with dignity and that they can afford the opportunity to experience and sustain upward socioeconomic mobility. So as is expressed in our manifesto, we will establish a livable wage commission that will facilitate the process of consultation and consensus building to arrive at a livable wage for Jamaicans. We will not do it in a way that circumvents, that avoids consultation, because we are acutely aware of the implications on both sides of the coin.
The interesting thing, as I pick up from Cleveland, that's a perfect segue to the point I'm about to make. As all of you know, all Jamaicans know, we have had a series of 3 political debates executed by the Jamaica Debates Commission. And I use this opportunity to thank the Jamaica Debates Commission for its continued investment in strengthening Jamaica's democratic traditions. In the social issues debate, the former Minister of Labour, Pernell Charles Jr., spoke. He mentioned nothing about adjustments to the minimum wage. In the economic issues debate, the former Minister of Finance, Favour Williams, participated, and she mentioned nothing about an adjustment in the minimum wage. That debate also had the chairman, as is, well, we've heard he's been removed, of the Jamaica Labour Party campaign, Dr. Christopher Tufton. He mentioned nothing about the increase in the minimum wage. The Minister of Information, or the former Minister of Information, was also in that debate. She mentioned nothing. But more importantly, Andrew Holness was also at that debate and mentioned nothing about any changes to the minimum wage. As a matter of fact, he was complaining throughout the debate and very unassertive and very ambiguous on any issue of policy he tried to cover. So Cleveland is correct. This is late in the day, clutching at the straw to try and salvage a dying campaign. The people of Jamaica are wiser than that, and we are confident in your wisdom. Another matter I'd like to address quickly is that since our last press conference, there have been the publication of poll results, which poll results show that the People's National Party are at least 3.1 percentage points ahead of our opponents. I say at least because the period in which the polls were conducted included the parish rally in St. Mary and the social issues debate, about which I've already spoken. And these results in the new polls, we believe, reflect the bounce coming out of those activities. The polls, however, preceded the economic policy debates. It preceded the Portmore rally on Saturday. It also preceded the leadership debate, where our party leader, Mark Golding, distinguished himself exemplary, as the country had expected he would have done. And it also preceded last night's mass meeting in Sam Sharp Square in Montego Bay. We believe that those events which have occurred after the last polls were conducted will also add to the bounds that is now being reflected within the, shall I say, the fortunes of the People's National Party. I think it is the sheer weight of that fact that would have led to some of the diatribe, that the nonsense that we heard as a country from Old Harbour Roundabout last evening, and the statement about not surrendering Jamaica. But more important than that is the clarity that the People's National Party has maintained on our message, some of which have been reiterated just now by Cleveland. And I want to say to all voters that as we saw on Friday, the men and women of the police force and related law enforcement agents are serious about ensuring that September 3 happens in a state of safety and security where voters of all age groups and all stripes and intention will be able to make it safely from their homes to their respective polling stations, cast their ballot, one ballot to one voter, same ballot to same voter in free and fair elections under the supervision of CAFE and other observers. We are also confident that attempts to derail, such as happened on Friday, or happened after our peaceful and successful meeting in Sam Sharp Square, will be unsuccessful. What am I speaking about? Last night, after our Sam Sharp Square rally, some of our buses were targeted by people clad in green, throwing stones. One young lady, at least one, is now hospitalized as a result of that act of violence. We're seeing a pattern of intimidation as well in southern St. James and in southern St. Elizabeth, where young people, mostly young men, are being targeted and arrested without a clear reason being given for their incarceration. And that persons are being visited in their communities where police officers are asking for them by name. I use this opportunity to remind Jamaica that the Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake, has made it pellucidly clear that the men and women of the constabulary force must act in the professional manner and standard that our country in 2025 expects of them. We make no further statement nor accusation, just to say that the seeming habit of persons being visited in their communities and pictures being shown of them on telephones, and even in one case that I am very closely aware of and which I am monitoring, the individual said that the police officer did a better job of canvassing his intention to vote on Wednesday than the canvassers that had been deployed by either party to go into that community and to visit him. I'd also like to speak to an issue, though I don't want to elevate it, because my granny said, if you follow a fool, you turn bigger fool yourself. Where in my own constituency, my opponent has been wont to be on his public address system, making very errant and dastardly accusations of, he believes, theft while I served in St. Elizabeth. And I served in St. Elizabeth up until February of 2016. What he's actually saying of the men and women of the police force is that the constabulary is the most lethargic in the world. Because if there was a case to investigate, and 9 years later, someone who has been as public as I have been over that time, they can't confirm and act upon these accusations being bandied about by one person and one person alone, my opponent, then it would be a serious accusation levied at the feet of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. But as one constituent said to me, when you are MP, get rid of all of the waste, including the leading waste man and the leading waste manufacturer. I use this opportunity, therefore, to recommit to Jamaica that the 63 candidates assembled by the People's National Party are Jamaicans by birth. We are patriots. We're sons and daughters of the soil. We understand that our role in these elections is to campaign vigorously and within the law, and to ensure that upon our success, we represent the people who elect us with every fiber of our body, with our hearts, and with our souls, because we are committed to bring to life Mission Jamaica Love and to bring to the leadership of government Mark Jefferson Golding, so that Jamaica can be transformed during his tenure, and that this country can become not just the country, the land of our birth, but the land within which our dreams can be achieved, our families will be safe, our children will be better educated, our elderly and sick better taken care of, our men and women allowed to move in stride to achieve their own industrious results and benefit in a land of their birth that centralizes them, that honors them, where no longer our taxi operators and our security guards will be ridiculed as political jokes and banter, but will be honored and dignified and elevated by an administration led by Mark Golding. To voters going out, therefore, please do so swiftly, carry your identifications. If you don't have a current voter ID and your name is on the voters list, you will still be permitted to cast your ballot. You will be asked to do an affirmation or to swear on. There is information at all polling stations that captures unique data. You may be asked some questions, answer the questions clearly and respectfully. And we are also confident that the men and women that have been recruited by the Electoral Office of Jamaica as poll clerks and presiding officers and other election day officials will act in the manner of their training and will eschew their own political intentions and be open and clear communicating to the voter, so that our voters are able to put their X beside the head, and some may do otherwise, but that they will be allowed to do so without any intimidation or any overreaching by instructions that are weighted one way or the other.
Thank you, Raymond. And whilst you're speaking, I got a message from a friend who's a security guard, and he asked if there's anything in there for me in the manifesto. And I thought it's, again, a perfect opportunity to remind the Jamaican people that a signature proposal from us in this election cycle, which will be done, is the removal of taxes on overtime pay. And we appreciate, to my friend who is listening to me, we appreciate that majority of the income that is earned as a security guard comes from the overtime that is done. And we are committing to you to remove taxes from overtime pay. You will have more money in your pockets to spend in the economy. There will be greater levels of economic activities being stimulated. The government will be able to recover funding through its indirect taxes. So we are not of the view that our proposals, our programs, and what we will do will be done in a fiscally reckless way. So we will give back $35,000 per month from our income tax adjustment. We will give you back money through our removal of taxes on overtime pay. We'll also remove taxes from tips as well, because we appreciate that the country has gone through a period of fiscal consolidation, of belt tightening. We have made the difficult choices, particularly in the last PNP government. The country has achieved a degree of macroeconomic stability, largely an outcome of the difficult fiscal and economic reforms that were pursued and implemented by the PNP, for which we paid the political price in 2016 to get the country where it is at today with respect to that stability. And we are committed to safeguarding it. We enhanced the fiscal rules to safeguard that stability. The downward movement of the debt to GDP ratio is an outcome of what we did to make it legally binding on any government to ensure that the ratio reaches 60% by a particular legislated timeline. I also note, before we field questions from the media, I've seen this nonsensical argument in social media that PNP is relying on JLP's economy to fund its proposals, which indicates that the economy is somehow doing well. And I want to put on my economist cap right now. There's a difference between macroeconomic stability and the real economy. What the country has been able to achieve over the last 10 years is stability in the macroeconomy, which means that certain indicators are stable and are moving in a positive direction, i.e. debt to GDP ratio. I just said why the debt to GDP ratio is where it's at today, largely an outcome of the legislation that the PNP put in place to force any government, PNP or JLP, to get the ratio to where it is at today. NIR improving, a sign of stability. Inflation that is managed by the independent central bank, not by cabinet, not by the wholeness government, the independent central bank. It was the PNP that started the work to move towards inflation targeting to give the bank the independence. The JLP came to office in 2016, saw it on the books, and did the right thing, continued where the PNP left off in 2016. But the real economy is different from macroeconomic indicators. The real economy is that part of the economy that affects you in a tangible way. It's about prices. It's about output. It's about growth in the economy. It is about the state of our industries. And if you want a good picture of what the economy looks like in terms of the state of our industries, look no further than the dismal growth rate of the wholeness-led government. Since they have been in office in 2016, over the last 9.5 years, they have grown the economy by less than 2%. That is unacceptable, and that cannot give you the income that you need and the quality of life to afford you the dignity that every single Jamaican needs. So let's make it absolutely clear that the real economy is different from what we talk about macroeconomic indicators. Macroeconomic indicators do not give you a comprehensive picture of the health of the economy. And with that, we'll open.
Just before we open for questions, quick note, we've already seen in this past week where the electoral office had to come publicly very quickly to declare to the public that a document being circulated which bore their marks and logos, or what looked very close to it, was actually fake. Regrettably, we live in a period where desperation is practiced by persons in otherwise high places. And we are also asking that persons, for the correct information, go directly to the website of the Electoral Office of Jamaica. But for the purposes of this press conference, we're asking the public to go to PNP Jamaica. That's Jamaica PNP, at Jamaica PNP, and on Instagram, and also on Facebook, and also on YouTube and TikTok. The same handle for curated, correct, and clear information. We also have published an infographic that indicates our hotlines for persons to call, and our candidates also have direct numbers and handles for persons to get information on voting day. And we'd like to also acknowledge that there is a query feature on the EOJ website where persons can go, put in their full name and their date of birth, and the results will show you where your polling station is and where your what your constituency is and where in the constituency your polling station is. We had to respond to these because since we've been here, these are pointers coming in from persons watching at home or listening in on IRI FM. With that, we now open the floor for your questions. Just say your name and the media house that you're from.
Thank you so much. Kelisha Williams from Television Jamaica. Just going back to the point about the minimum wage proposal by the Jamaica Labour Party, you said earlier that in the manifesto, well, you pointed to the manifesto saying that you, regarding to the point about earning a livable wage, there may be some level of ambiguity from persons, listening on, especially minimum wage earners, having heard that yes, we'll have consultation. While that is important, but wondering how their needs will be prioritized and what exactly is a livable wage, because the JLP is giving them numbers.
Mm-hmm.
What assurance can you give those persons at home listening, wondering what is the PNP's proposal, what will be a livable wage for them? Thank you.
I tell you something interesting. The amount to which the JLP says they intend to raise the minimum wage falls smack within the same range that we will be giving back to people when we raise the income tax threshold to $3.5 million. Imitation is the best form of a compliment. So the fact that they are banding about the same figure, basically, that we have assured the public can be afforded, is their way, somewhat tangential, obtuse even, to accept that the data presented by the party president in the leadership debate was correct. Recall that when Mark Golding stated what the current ratio was in terms of debt to GDP, the Prime Minister was caught unaware. He didn't have a clue. So now that he and he alone, not his finance minister, not his labor and social security, roughly the same figure. I think he has been briefed. Realized his information was incorrect, and as I said earlier, is clutching at straws. What's the difference with the concept of a livable income? As Cleveland pointed out, the macroeconomic data tells of the general health. It's a headline. But for the consumer, for the household, for the people who make up the families across Jamaica, that headline statistic doesn't mean anything to them if their purchasing power is eroded. So the combination of proposals we're putting forward, non-removal of the taxes on overtime, the RIDE program to do a subsidy for transportation for families in rural Jamaica or families across Jamaica who need it, the EASE program, which provides a hot meal, at least one per day, per student who needs it across the public education sector. The strengthening of PATH and other programs will augment what wage persons at that level of the economy are being paid. So the concept of a livable wage is when you consider all the factors that a household needs, that a citizen needs, the ability to go to a health center and not to be sent to another one, or to go to the hospital and not have to sleep for days on a wheelchair before they can be triaged to ascertain the extent of what is making them unwell. The fact that they can move freely and their children can get to school 5 days a week, and there are other programs to augment their education outcome. That's the concept of livability, or we can borrow a term from my brethren them in the Rastafari faith. It's about enhancing the overall livity across the nation. So yes, he did throw out a specific number, a specific figure, which oddly enough mirrors the figure he criticized could not have been achieved. So thanks, Mr. Holness, for confirming to us what we already knew, that our data was accurate, our research was accurate, and that the Jamaican people have been gravitating to the overall improvements that will be provided to them when on September 3 this year, 48 hours from now, they put their X beside their head on their individual ballots and bring to office the People's National Party and a new Prime Minister. And forgive me for saying it again, Kelisha, new PM by 1 p.m.
And Kelisha will add as well, we are of the view that the optimal way to adjust the minimum wage is through a commission that requires and engages in consultation. because one can appreciate that there are delicacies on both sides of the coin. There will be implications, and we don't think that it should be politicized in the way as a desperation tactic to win an election, as the Jamaica Labour Party is characterizing it as, is portraying it to be. We think that you need a series of consultation. You need to engage with the stakeholders because there can be serious ramifications, and we are committed to that process of consultation.
Just a quick follow-up. Based on where you sit now, I understand the implications, but in terms of, say, the People's National Party forms the next government, in terms of where you're going, what you're looking at right now in terms of the minimum wage, I know you don't want to give figures, but in terms of minimizing all the risks, what would you say would be like a reasonable amount to increase the minimum wage by over a 4-year period, per se?
Well, we are of the view that an increase in the minimum wage must be consistent with the movement of inflation, because inflation erodes the purchasing power. Throughout the economy, over time, we think that it necessitates an adjustment in minimum wage. So we will be guided by data. We'll be guided by the inflation outlook. We will be guided by consensus among stakeholders. We'll not be guided by an attempt to win an election because of political desperation, because a prime minister knows that his time is coming to an end.
Any other questions?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Giovanni White from IRFM, of course.
You're like the fifth Giovanni that across electronic media.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
But no one knows me much as yet.
Well, they do know.
They do know. My question to you is, throughout this campaign, the importance and the role of the political ombudsman has been very, very a great question. More so, your party has faced criticism in regards to statements you've made over the campaign trail. But I also want to ask you, based on Robert Morgan's comment last night at the rally.
Which ones
and
in
I'll
particular?
quote.
I was elsewhere.
Well, I understand, but I will quote for you. His words were, "Me hear Damian Crawford all over the media, but him couldn't come a Spanish Town with him clown show because Spanish Town vanish clown." What is your comment on that?
It's perhaps not a coincidence that their party color is green, and green is a global color that symbolizes envy. You had to clarify which Morgan you were speaking about. When somebody says Damian or Crawford, there is no doubt in the nation as to which Damian or Crawford you're speaking about. That Morgan still a keep is my first response. My second response is consistent with the diatribe, the garbage, the nonsense, the rubbish, the waste that is being spewed. We're elevating it now because I'm sure no one watching heard it, and I appreciate you asking the question because you reminded me that there is a Robert Nesta Morgan, but I just never know him did still a keep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes. Mr. Price, you mentioned earlier about an attack yesterday. Can you say whether or not there was any reports were made to the police or the political ombudsman?
Oh, yes, the substantive question about the political ombudsman. Let me answer it. There are certain things, just as Cleveland explained, when you look on an economy, you look on the rate of inflation, you look on the net international reserves, you look on the debt to GDP ratio. Similarly, there are certain things that you look on when you are assessing the strength and health of a democracy. You don't look on the individuals who occupy positions from time to time. You look on the institutions which last generations to generation. One of those institutions is the Office of the Political Ombudsman, a commission of parliament backed up by statute, by legislation, that for many election cycles, persons knew that the occupant of the office, the individual who held the office, would be the referee, the umpire, if you will, that will say, hey, candidate A, that's not kosher. Retract, withdraw. Party A, candidate A has not yet retracted or withdrawn. Party A's leader must then act. The fact that the Jamaica Labour Party has eroded, defunded, diminished, the value of that institution to make it amorphous that has caused serious harm and injury to the brand of another institution that safeguards democracy, the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. And then when you juxtapose that with the often repeated remark, we will not surrender Jamaica, a reasonable person would ask, is this a part of the plan? To foil our democracy, to foil our standards, remove the political ombudsman, bury it in ambiguity, and then practice this kind of reckless politics, where yesterday in East Central St. Catherine, for example, a female worker was handing out voters' guides. Someone notified my opponent where she was. My opponent drove down on her. There are videos across social media. I'll share one with you at the close of this morning's press conference, where he's up in her face, microphone in hand, intimidating her, goading her, asking her why she handing out voters' guides for a criminal organization. In his own words, not mine, not hers. Because I have asked, once we recognize that my opponent is a stalker who consistently stalks my campaign, I've said it to our workers, whenever he comes, record him, video him. In a case reported yesterday to the head of St. Catherine South, who dispatched a unit to aid the said party worker, the close protection officer assigned to my opponent is also seen in a menacing way charging at the party worker. Who do I report that to this morning? An amorphous grouping? Because the Electoral Commission of Jamaica is already focused on its tremendous primary mandate to safeguard the procedures and processes of Wednesday. So I join the rank of Jamaicans who are saying, then that's why them did do away with the office of the political ombudsman, so them are things you can go along without any checks and balances being made. So the injured person traveling on the bus yesterday who's been hospitalized, that report has been made. And I am aware of other reports that have been made, not just to the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, in which somewhere there is the activities being carried out that were once the remit of the Office of the Political Ombudsman. But in this example I have given with East Central St. Catherine, our candidates are advised to report to Party Central, and in a situation of emergency, such as yesterday in Christian Gardens, where residents called me, not knowing the man that had charged that the worker was a police officer, my opponent's CPO, but just said, Mr. Price, send police quick because a man where I walk with Terry Long just pull gun pan one of the PNP woman them. It's despicable. It belongs in the Carboniferous era, way back in human evolution. And God is still God, you know, and nobody escapes him or his judgment. And we are a praying party. We are the people's national party. We know the nation that they're born in that gives them their national identity. And we have never, going back to 1944 with universal adult suffrage, we have never attempted to diminish the importance of universal adult suffrage and people's right to vote. We were not the party that said, if we don't win on election day, we're going to lock down Jamaica tighter than a sardine can. We were not the party that said we will never surrender Jamaica. We were not the party that said I'm going to stand up at crossroads and sit downtown. We have always been the party to say, vote for the PNP. For sure, put your ex beside ahead. but we don't intimidate and we don't violate, and we will never start doing that.
Do you have questions? Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm a correspondent of Japanese newspaper called Yomiuri Shimbun, and I would like to ask about the foreign affairs. The poll have shown that your party you had a positive result towards your party, but I wanted to know what kind of change will you bring to that in terms of foreign affairs if you were to take power. And also, I'm especially interested in what kind of relationship do you want to build between United States and China, which is like the major economic power that has strong influence on, you could have, well, it's already have strong influence on your country.
All right, thank you very much. And welcome to Jamaica. Welcome to the headquarters of the People's National Party. And if you never know, so Jamaica, little about Talawan, we name gone abroad. The fact that we have a member of the Japanese media here with us, monitoring not just this press conference, but the upcoming general elections, tell you we're large and in charge. We are Jamaica, even if some people don't know that once you're born here, you're a Jamaican. Sorry for that, Nika. On the foreign affairs front, even while we were a colony of the British Empire, and South Africa was also a part of the British Empire, Norman Manley, then Premier, took the stand based on principle, human dignity, and individual nobility, which everybody, as Christians, we believe, everyone is born to be respected, to have access to dignity and their own nobility. That's our primary principle. We also are the party of social justice. And there is a concept that says, if one person is denied justice, then all humanity is denied justice. So our stance then as a colony against apartheid, or apartheid if you prefer, has always been the foundation phenotype, or the foundation symbol of our approach to the global family. The question about China, Jamaica was one of the earliest countries to have established diplomatic relations with China. We have exceptionally good diplomatic relations with Japan. I could even mention my own dear friend Karen Gibbs, who is a teacher of English in your native land. Jamaicans are, well, the very concept of the word diaspora. Jamaicans are a traveling people, and wherever we go, we establish good relations in those countries. Our motto also speaks to out of many one people, which we could elevate as a global standard. So the question regarding the United States, apart from the homeland, most Jamaicans live in the United States. It's a dear, that nation is a dear friend of Jamaica, a mentor over many generations, a symbol of families going there to help families here. As a high school student, some of my textbooks came from Uncle Cecil. Some of my school supplies came from Auntie Paulette, Auntie Sybil, Auntie Rita, and I could go on to also include those relatives in Canada. I am a reflection of the average Jamaican. So I know that when I express these words, all Jamaica understands. Now, in families, you have what is called a middle child. The middle child sometimes is closer to the older sibling or closer to the younger sibling. I think Jamaica is the middle child of the global family. We love all our brother, all our sister them, with passion, with sincerity, and with principle. So we monitor developments across the globe, and we monitor changes in policy when there are elections or changes in leadership across the globe. We have closer relationships based on the history of our country. So we're members of what was formerly known as the British Commonwealth. We're members of the Organization of American States. We're members of CARICOM, which bears the DNA of Norman Manley. And we are also members of the United Nations. So our foreign affairs approach, when Mark Golding becomes Prime Minister, will be consistent with when Norman Manley was Premier, when Michael Manley was Prime Minister, when P.J. Patterson was Prime Minister, when Portia Simsimila was Prime Minister. As it was with them, it shall be when Mark Golding becomes Prime Minister by 1 p.m., new PM by 1 p.m. on Wednesday. That has a lot of cultural nuances, Mika, so I'll explain it to you after the press conference. The other thing I would just like to say quickly, our Foreign Affairs Minister will not be looking through the job vacancies across the globe to campaign at the public expense for a job in London when they have sworn to the people of Jamaica to be loyal and faithful to the Constitution of Jamaica, to enhance the standards and the policies in the global sphere on behalf of Jamaica, like what we've seen recently when one Kamina Johnson-Smith, in the midst of families trying to get our students from Ukraine, when that war started, she was busily campaigning to become the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. So Jamaicans here and abroad and foreign nationals everywhere can look to Jamaica, small as we are, not just when our flag flies high on the medal podiums at international track meets, or when they hear the song One Love by Bob Marley, or as many people refer to our anthem as Jamaica Boom. In Jamaica, and certainly in the People's National Party, are conscious patriots who understand internationalism and that we live in a global world, a global family, where all countries, despite wealth, despite how long they've been sovereign, and some that are still colonies, are entitled to respect and honor based on principles. And I must use this opportunity to say to you, as a Jamaican, speaking to you as a Japanese, that the assistance through public aid, taxpayers in Japan, that your government has provided to Jamaica over many years is greatly appreciated and has always been dutifully applied. And we will continue in that regard.
Thank you very much.
All right, if there are no other questions, Cleveland, you, sir, by an earlier coin toss, have the closing remarks.
Thank you, Raymond, and thank you to all Jamaicans who have tuned in. We are very excited for what will unfold on Election Day. We are very confident that the people of Jamaica will choose change. And in choosing change, they will elect the People's National Party. So on Wednesday, Jamaica has a choice between desperation and dedication, between last-minute promises and costed, rushed initiatives that will not benefit the people in any tangible or real way, and people-centered plans. We are ready. The People's National Party is ready. Mark Jefferson Golding is ready. And most importantly, Jamaica is ready for a government that puts people first. We shall see you at the polls. Put your X beside the head. Vote for the People's National Party. Thank you.
And on Wednesday, X beside the head, and we'll talk again on Thursday.
For your family and for Jamaica.
On the stage, but we might want to do a press conference on Thursday to just say thank you to the voters across the country.
evening for our national broadcast at 8 p.m. on Television Jamaica. You will hear from the party leader, you will hear from other spokespersons, and we will remind you of what is at stake in this election, what the policies and programs being offered are to improve your standard of living.
That was the conference of the People's National Party. I beg you, don't go away, because we have some information to bring you off the crookedness of Andrew Holness and Babsy Grange. So I hope you stick around for that, because we will go straight to that video. Then we will look at some of the other things we are here about with this Prime Minister. But it was a very clarifying press conference, gave information that voters would rely on. TikTok, I just want to, because this video that I'm going to play, I want TikTok to be able to see it as well. Just bear with me while I try to find. Oh, let me do it the easier way. Oh no, come down. Yeah. 1 second, please. 1 second. Right, let me bring up this video for you. Where is it? Right, bear with me 1 second. Let me quickly draw this video up, because we want to bring to your attention the scams of this government, the scams that Andrew Holness and Babsy Grange will carry out at any given point in order to achieve their crooked aims. This is a video done by Head Teacher K. Her channel is a touch of class with HDK. Many of you are aware who Head Teacher K is. So she put out this information this morning. I wasn't aware of it first time coming across it, because they may be so invested in the campaign, quite a few information is slipping from me. It should come over when I start playing that. That video should come up in the stream TikTok. So let's listen to this information from Head Teacher K. Then we'll discuss on the other side.
Yes, graduates, welcome to Hard Talk Podcast
TikTok,
with
it should
HTK.
come up soon.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Hey, users and subscribers, well, go on. Welcome back to another episode of Hard Talk with HTK. As Jamaica gears up for its elections on the 3rd of September 2025, Chief Curry has come forward to have his final say in support of the People's National Party, giving his firm affirmations as to why it is that he is opposed to the Jamaica Labour Party getting yet another term in leadership. Now, as you know, the Cockpit country is the largest block of continuous vegetation and the most intact example of wet limestone forest in Jamaica. Its flora exemplifies the outstanding endemism of the Caribbean. There are 106 plant species in Jamaica that are only found in the Cockpit country. Now, there has been ongoing debates regarding the bordering and the overlap of the mining and conservation projects in Jamaica's Cockpit country.
How long before I see results with Tai Chi?
Day 3, you'll feel your energy. Day 7, your eyes will change. Day 28.
And in 2023, a protected area was created in Jamaica to shield the biodiverse Cockpit country from bauxite mining. The government has promised that no mining will take place within the boundaries of that protected area. The forested area, characterized by its landscape, conical hillocks, steep valleys, sinkholes, caves, and underground streams, is also a haven for endemic and endangered species, a fertile ground for Jamaica's famous yam farming, and a source of people's livelihoods and fresh water. Above everything, it is the area that is also the home to the Accompong Maroons, descendants of the runaway slaves and indigenous people who fled slavery, found refuge in the rugged environment, and to this day consider the Cockpit country a sovereign state. Now, despite massive resistance, the Jamaican government had approved the protected area and the mining concession in one go. And while often creating areas of nature conservation has become a common fix for mining companies to secure space for extraction while being green, in reality, the border between the mining areas and the actual conservation area is fictitious, where they are seeing that the protected areas do not actually guarantee protection. Often, areas once considered to be designated in perpetuity are susceptible to downgrading, downsizing, and political revisions. This boundary effect between protected areas and the surrounding zone can be expected when boundaries are proposed to protect nature. With no state to turn to, people have found no other alternative but to appeal to the international bodies and sue both the state and the mining companies on human rights grounds. The Accompong Maroons, who have threatened with war and conjured the warrior spirit of their ancestors to fight mining to the last Maroon, have also sued the state for invading indigenous territory. From as far back as June 2022, Richard Curry, who acts as the head of state of Cockpit country, tweeted that the Maroon government had filed a lawsuit against the government of Jamaica and the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, partly because of the trespass to the Maroon estate, which has been unlawfully permitted by the government of Jamaica to be mined for bauxite and other raw ore minerals. The position of the Accompong Maroon government has categorically been that the Cockpit country belongs to them, a right guaranteed by virtue of the 1738 Peace Treaty and by recognized internationally as indigenous people, and therefore entitled to land rights as under international laws. He has recently come forward with a video, which I shall share with you now, where he further expounds on this matter. I'd like you to take a listen.
Greetings. This is a public statement by the ambassador of the state of Accompong. And this is a rebuttal to the government of Jamaica's attempt to annex the Cockpit country. Brothers, sisters, citizens of Jamaica, and to the international community, I stand before you today in the spirit of truth and in defense of our ancestors, our heritage, and our living sovereignty. The government of Jamaica, under the leadership of Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Minister Olivia Grange, has secretly submitted to UNESCO a claim that the Cockpit country be designated a World Heritage Site under the jurisdiction of the state of Jamaica. This submission was done without the free, prior, and informed consent of the Accompong Maroons or the wider Maroon communities, who are the treaty holders and original custodians of these lands. This act is not conservation. This is annexation by deception. The Cockpit country is not simply a forest reserve or a geological marvel. It is the sacred and treaty-protected homeland of the Leeward Maroons, secured in perpetuity by the 1738 Peace Treaty with the British Crown. That treaty remains binding under international law, and under Clause 4, the Savings Clause of Jamaica's Constitution, which affirms that no law of the independent state of Jamaica can extinguish or diminish the rights guaranteed before independence. The Cockpit country was never ceded, never sold, and never surrendered. So to attempt to place it under Jamaica's state jurisdiction whether by parliamentary act, executive declaration, or an international submission, is a direct violation of international law, indigenous sovereignty, and territorial integrity. We remind the government of Jamaica, UNESCO, and the international community that the Maroon legal status is not folklore. It is recognized history, ratified by treaty, reaffirmed by the British Crown at the independence in 1962, and most recently acknowledged by the United Nations Third Committee, which on May 12, 2025, demanded that Jamaica answer to its violation of indigenous rights and human rights. So by secretly submitting the Cockpit country as a state-owned heritage site, the Holness administration has attempted to erase Maroon sovereignty while benefiting from the culture and its ecological legacy, creating and defending by the Maroons and our Taino predecessors. This is cultural theft, political fraud, and a breach of international trust. To Minister Grange and the government of Jamaica, I say clearly, you cannot appropriate Maroon lands under the guise of conservation. You cannot rewrite history to strip the Leeward Maroons of our treaty-protected homeland. And you cannot trample upon the rights of the indigenous people with impunity. We call upon UNESCO to reject Jamaica's fraudulent submission, and we call upon the international community to hold Jamaica accountable under international law. And we call upon the Jamaican people to see through this deception. What is presented as protection is in fact annexation and exploitation. For centuries, the Cockpit country has been our refuge, our fortress, our source of life and spirit. It was here that Captain Kodjo and our ancestors fought and won our freedom, securing the first treaty of its kind in the Americas. It remains today not only our homeland, but a global symbol of resistance, survival, and self-determination. Let it be known, the Akompong Maroons will never consent to the surrender of Cockpit country's sovereignty. We will defend our rights in the courts of law, the courts of public opinion, and if necessary, before the international community of nations. The treaty still stands. The sovereignty still stands. The Cockpit country still stands. And so do we. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Now, currently, the areas of Port Royal, Blue, and Jonker Mountains in Jamaica are on our World Heritage List. There are currently 2 sites on the tentative list, which are properties that state parties intends to consider for nomination. Those include the Seville Heritage Park and the Cockpit Country Protected Area, which was submitted in April 2025 by, of course, Babsy Grange, who is the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. Now, the World Heritage Center at UNESCO has published this tentative list to ensure that there is transparency, access to information, and ensuring that the Jamaican public are aware of what is taking place with their lands. It states that the sole responsibility for the content of each tentative list lies with the state party concerned, and that the publication of the tentative list does not imply the expression of any opinion whatsoever of the World Heritage Committee or of the World Heritage Center or the Secretariat of UNESCO concerning the legal status of any country, territory, city, or area, or of its boundaries. Now, surely, when the Cockpit country was submitted, a consultation should have taken place with the Maroons of the Cockpit country, who are the prime residents and the significant holders of the land. Now, what does it mean to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site? It means that this is a landmark area recognized by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization for its outstanding universal value. It means that the area possesses immense cultural, natural, or historical significance that transcends national boundaries. Now, while this may sound wonderful on the surface, because why wouldn't you want to protect an area that is designated for its historical value and the fact that there is such a huge amount of historical significance in the area? There is also the flip side of the political when it comes to the fact that the sites of global culture or natural significance will require member countries to protect them through collaborative management plans and international scrutiny. Now, if this is the case, and you have got a sovereign nation living within the cockpit country, they should be intrinsic to all decisions being made about the land. They have not been called to the table. This decision being made behind the backs of their compound people shows that the government intends to oust them from all decision making processes regarding the cockpit country itself, and that they intend to take the lead when any decisions are being made about the territory, despite the fact that they have got sovereignty over the land. A very serious decision to be made, and almost like a cultural and historical slap in the face for their compounds. Do let me know what you think about this issue in the comments. It does look like there will be continued warfare over who has the final say with regards to how the cockpit country is to be maintained, protected, and lived in, despite the history and the records of law that has ensured that that land be not touched by anyone but the Maroons. This is your girl, Head Teacher K, and I'm out.
Please don't stop the violence. Please don't stop the war. Please don't stop the violence, please.
And remember, globalists, remember to subscribe to Head Teacher K, A Touch of Class with HTK, to view her contents. How much more do you want to hear to know that Andrew Holness is dangerous? Andrew Holness is centered and gripping on power. Andrew Holness is driven by how much money he can make out of our country. How much more proof do you really want to see that Andrew Holness, given more time, will become the danger that we will regret if we should make the mistake on Wednesday? Do you understand the regrets that would come after Wednesday if you make the wrong decision? Do you understand the risk to your democracy? Your status on that piece of rock in Jamaica? You see, Andrew Holness relentlessly try to strip the Maroons of their power and land. You see, Andrew Holness regularly try to do that to the entire Jamaica, stripped us of everything. Let us go into Andrew Holness's corruption. Let us go into the Prime Minister's corruption briefcase.
The JLP corruption timeline from 2010 to now. Take a seat and get comfortable. This is going to be a long one. October 2010. SCJ, Sugar Divestment, $43 million. March 2016. Montague, Used Car Scandal. Used car scandal in which 30 cars are still outstanding. Since 2012, this is valued at $100 million. September 2016. Nepotism, Spectrum Management. Nepotism and cronyism. December 2016. Debushing scandal. $606 million
There will be a bit of
improperly
delay on
awarded
your
right
images.
before parish council elections. May 2017. Grant of milk powder license and 15 acres of Mombasa grass on personal property. August 2017. Convicted criminals, friends of board members granted gun licenses under questionable circumstances. September 2017. Junction Road. Over 1 billion Jamaican dollars of taxpayers' money has been spent. As of 2023, might have to be abandoned. June 2018. Petrojam perimeter fence. Petrojam perimeter fence was built for 96.8 million Jamaican dollars. August 2018. Derek Smith. Derek Smith 5-year consultancy contract at $7.5 million per year through 2022. Total $37,865,770 Jamaican dollars. Saturday, August 2018. Nepotism. Trevor Forrest resigned as board chairman following revelations that he had improperly intervened in the recruitment process at the Spectrum Management Authority, SMA. August 2018. SMA constituency secretary appointed to board. August 2018. USF, a JLP candidate for Portmore MP, hired her daughter and paid her $80,000 without qualifications. September 2018. Nasol, $12 million. November 2018. TEF scandal, $35 million for garbage bins. December 2018. PCJ, Auditor General Report, citing explicit acts of nepotism. March 2019. Petrojam, Wheatley, and Myrie, May 2019. Free Beach scandal, $13.5 million, property unsold, and beach given away. October 2019. CMU corruption, $50 million of school funds for personal use of Ruel Reed, and Fritz Pinnock, $676.8 million of unapproved salaries. Nepotism, cronyism, $122 million per annum for 4 officers, traveling allowances for 119 students, $95.7 million. December 2019.
Chris D, one of my cousins called me from Jamaica this morning, and he talked to me about the minimum wage, and he calculate it. Mr. Master Tapinez in my ears, I make the 3.5 mad the people then. And the 3.5 are mad them, you know. They have no way of keeping up with the 3.5. When they hear about the 3.5, they turn fool. You know, so the Prime Minister come and debate, can't turn fool and just draw things out of the air and push it in their ears and spew it back to him mouth. And the 3.5 are mad them. So I make you say last night, just like how you say, when Mark Golden thump him in the back with the birth certificate, he just flippantly draw out of the bag, push it to his ears and push it to his mouth and say, your birth doesn't make you Jamaican, is the choices you make. As same way the 3.5 thump him in the back, he just pull at straw. Don't mind the drowning man. Him know with the straw he's going down. But as a drowning man, he will still have to clutch at the straw. Don't mind him.
19. RADA, 33 road contracts awarded without being sent to tender. $521 million. March 2020. Chairman Joseph Shuker authorized an $11.5 million payment to Willard Hilton, former MD of JTA, in March 2020, though he was terminated December 31st, 2019. June 2020. Vaz, Minister with responsibility for land and environment, attempts to lease lands 7.7 acres bordering the protected Holywell National Forest Park in St. Andrew, to build a private cabin for 25 years at $120,000 per annum. July 2020. Market Me contracts, not put out to tender totaling $55 million between December 2016 and June 2019. July 2020. J.C. Hutchinson. J.C. Hutchinson signed over 1,400 acres of Holland estate lands to romantic partner and son, stripped of agriculture portfolio. November 2020. Dry Harbor mining deal. Andrew Holness overturns the NEPA decision to not give Bengal Mining Company. January 2021. UTC. Nepotism. 11 senior managers were found to be unqualified, and one employee's salary was raised 600% in 13 months without meeting the base qualifications. January 2021. UTC. One employee's salary raised 600% in 13 months. Employee did not meet base qualifications. March 2021. JCDC. Nepotism. Trevor Nairn awarded $15 million for gala celebrations. Procurement procedures were breached. September 2021. Nutrition products. Lanatoid. Nepotism. $143 million paid to companies and individuals connected to board members and management. 12 staff positions were not advertised, and 8 members did not have the proper qualifications. October 2021. NMIA, Cyprate HAJ, Site First Rock, $450 million, Cytoit. 2021, $450 million First Rock stock purchase. Hutchinson was a shareholder in First Rock Capital Holdings Limited while serving on the AAJ board when she voted in favor of the AAJ's investment and failed to recuse herself in keeping with the procedures of the board charter. October 2021. JCTE scandal.
I'm live. I'll call you back.
$124 million. Permanent Secretary Grace McLean Montague. Nepotism and cronyism. JRC Railway Corporation. Board member made head of HR. November 2021. Clarendon Alumina Production. Belizean company got a 6-month contract which was renewed 5 times for $225,000. November 2021. Jamaica Customs Agency. $664.24 million in arrears for 3 private bonded warehouses. December 2021. Heart Trust, NTA. Staff retreat to Moon Palace for $5.6 million. February 2022. TPD Co. AG report also found that there was no evidence that TPDCO had conducted feasibility studies nor risk assessments for 11 projects at total cost of 478 million Jamaican dollars. March 2022. MOHW, $13 million spent to retrofit a hotel that was used for COVID for 1 year. May 2022, TPD.co AG report exposed that 8 members of staff unqualified for roles with salaries amounting to 31.3 million Jamaican dollars. July 2022, NSWM AA for $5.5 billion spent over the last 5 years to third parties for work projects, but no procedures to ensure work was done. August 2022, Kamina Johnson Smith, GSC campaign, government expenditure of $43.9 million. MOWH, cronyism. March 2022, absence of formal contracts valued over $400 million. November 2022. Transfer of $174 million to MLCD, an NSWMA, and an NGO, but did not implement measures to track the utilization of the funds disbursed. November 2022. NGO spent $14 million of the $20 million it received on activities unrelated to COVID-19 emergency. Grand total, $6,314,200,000,000 Jamaican dollars. October 2022. J.C. Hutchinson, conflict of interest and second nepotism charge. His influence in the award of state contracts to a company owned by his son. November 2022. Green Acres Police Station. $73 million spent to construct Green Acres Police Station on flood-prone lands. December 2022. NCRA boss intervenes and releases detained shipments of substandard rice imported by company owned by Chris Tufton. January 2023. SSL scandal. 200 accounts hit, exceeding $30 million in fraud. February 2023. Westcon contracts. PM Wholeness conflict of interest probe. May 2023. FCJ nepotism and cronyism. Minister of State Xavier Main engaged by FCJ for private legal services in acquisition of 200 acres of land from the UDC at Caymanas Estate. November 2023. Wholeness statutory. Declarations to Integrity Commission not yet certified and gazetted 2021 and 2022. March 2024. TAJ forks out nearly $400 million to lease buildings it's yet to occupy after 3 years. September 2024. FID referral. PM Wholeness's uncertified statutory declarations, 2019 to 2022. December 2024. Building permit scandal. April 2025. $31 million drill scandal. June 2025. FID appointment. Appointment of Dennis Chung as FID Chief Technical Director. June 2025. FCJ JLP Counselor referred for prosecution. July 2025. Old School Bus Saga.
How much more do you want, Jamaica? It looks like we really love the abuse from Andrew Holness. If you choose Andrew Holness again, it means you want more abuse. Let's hear from constituents of Orlando, Terry Long's constituency. Bear with.
Yo, Mr. Pussy, all tongue long me.
And please, there are colorful languages, but you know how Jamaicans talk.
Say your time coming up. Feel like me know you say your bumbuckler time come. Remember me tell you that, and me know say your time come. Remember that pussy hole there. You know. Look for all you know, a 10-year year in a Gregor Park. All bout to run up and down. You never fix a blood clot road yet. Never fix a road yet. See? But as blood clot 5 days for election, you come and mash up the people them road, you know, say. After you drop up how much bumbuckler $1 million, you carry China.
And Jamaica Flight Green are the same thing as Southwest Sentiment, just like walk and creep off road. Fix them and fix it. So they know, so them a come out of power, them a mash up the road, them was a left giveaway.
They come there do work and how much hungry belly people don't they want to work. Pussy, well, if you like the people them like you. Let me ask you something. On the third, you feel like say if people them a go blood clot vote for you. You draw allegation and all kind of different meds. You feel like say people them like your brother. When you come up with people them from 10 o'clock, them have to guard them bed. You feel like the people them like your brother. People them want enjoyment, brother. You have to come down, brother. What the fuck you have fight for your well? You have fight for all the people them under bandage. Pussy will look for me. And me a blood clot fight when me bumbo clot alright and the people them down there hungry. Go suck your mama tongue long. Who your batty boy, you can't fight God beat me. You know how much blood clot You look for me good. From me in a Gregor Park, notice me, pussy hole. Me never beg a money yet. Go suck your mama. Now nobody ever can look for me and say, yo, me ever molest them or me ever try to disturb them or me ever try to come at them place, come beg them, suck my come rob. Pussy hole, you a thief and robber. Ask anybody in a Portmore if them ever blood clot here, me ever thief young yet. Go suck your mama. You know how much thing you thief from the poor people, them. A blood clot got pick me and want come a blood clot Portmore come fight. Go suck your mama tongue long. And come down. Who you man see police them take you down already, pussy. I people them time you know. Go suck your mama. You feel like nobody like you, batty man.
The colors of Jamaicans' tongue. Can't complain anyway. Mine not anyway 3 better. Let's look at how low the Jamaica party. Can you low, you know? I mean, Flight Green on go raising price by $1,000. How low can that be? From the last general election to now, Flight Green on go raise in price by $1,000. I don't know what the people them are look for.
Disrespect, so who is in the people disrespect? Where your blood clot go? Who is up for people disrespect? Where you go? Move on a pussy hole and go.
And bear in mind again, these are colorful Jamaican tongue, but this is, I don't know what Pernell Charles Sr., you know, the one his daughter kissed and his lip, I don't know what he was there doing, if he was buying vote, if he was intimidating, I don't know. Just let us all listen together. First, may I listen to it as well. But you know, with tongue. Hold on there.
Disrespect, so who is in the people disrespect? Where your blood clot go? Who is up for people disrespect? Where you go? Move on a pussy hole and go. Boy, you come and fight for land. Where you go? But who is you for nobody tell bad word? You God. Where you go? You God. Where you go? Just we are enjoying the place, you come off a land. Go on in your van. Tell the people about them to left off a land before such and such time because hotel are going to build up by February and ground for broke. Where you go? We don't want to wait for you.
Gone are the days when Jamaicans used to store stale piss in a bottle that you will use to wet people like Pernell Charles. Gone are those days. A lot of you who have grandmothers would know of Granny battle with stale piss that she would use to wet her enemies if they get into a quarry. Gone are those bloody days, may I tell you.
Go on. Colonel and come with. Hold on, bully. Me so talk here. I make a video. Eh. Foolish is the man come and go out with man. Man never go sit down, brother. Man come and tell the people about we come off a land. What do you man land so? The man can't live out the land in my house. The man around here. He's who dead and gone and fight over all that for him to fight for God. Sit down, the man go sit down. I mean, I have video him. I have video him, man. I told him I beg him, man. Someone will tell him, man, the blood clot too. Make him, man, go. Brother, make him, man, go in our phone and go, man. Man, go, man. Foolish, I go out with Pernell, man. No talk, me not. No, sir, me not take no talk from you. Me not take no talk from you, Pernell. Me no want to hear nothing from you. You tell the people if you come off, me not take no talk. Do what you want to do, me not take no talk from you. Me no want to hear what you say. Left the people them alone. Left the people them alone, Bridget. Bully. I mean, left the people them alone, brother.
The desperate attempt of the Jamaica Labour Party when they can coerce you to vote for them go around and them intimidate you. Just like the Prime Minister is trying to intimidate the Cockpit country, just like the Prime Minister is intimidating the security services.
To be voting at the Denham Town High School. And unfortunately, when I turned up this morning, only to find out that my name has been removed from the police list. When I checked otherwise, my name have been removed from the police voters list, as well as others who are on suspension, interdiction. This is the first in the history, to my knowledge, that any such occurrence has taken place.
He is now questioning the authority of the police high command and calling for them to be held accountable for what he deems a retrograde step to impact his right to vote. Now, Corporal James has been in a long court battle with the police high command over the treatment of rank and file members of the police force. He
and it is disrespectful of the high command to be placing me in an unknown profession, to say the least.
Do you still think the country would be in a trusted hands if the country gives Andrew Holness another 5 years? Haven't you heard enough of the pending dangers? Haven't you seen enough examples of the pending dangers ahead of us should Andrew Holness given 5 more years? I heard Juliet Holness during the campaign the other day going around in her community or some galangin she did there. And she said, PM, bro got a PM for life. We must not take these people utterances simple, because we see more and more where her husband is willing to break domestic and international law in order just to get what Andrew Holness wants. Don't you feel scary of having such a leader presiding over you for another 5 years when you have seen the danger to you and your children over the time he has been presiding? Haven't you seen the waste of money in your country? Haven't you seen the sudden the explosion of Andrew's enrichment to the public purse? But his parting shot at Chief Curry is something. If Andrew Holness is given 5 more years, a war will be created by the state of Jamaica and the state of their compound. Do you want to take that risk with the safety and the peace we have been enjoying, even though we've been through violence and gang and all that, but we have not been at civil war as a country, Jamaica. We have not been to civil war as we have seen in many countries around the world. We have not been in civil war as a country. This is what Andrew Holness is pushing upon us. We need to be careful, my peeps. We need to be careful. And when the battery there got dead, it got down by 5%. Now with that 3%, so TikTok soon gone dead. But I'm going to come back on tonight again, but it's going to be at a pushback slot because, you know, the People's National Party sit down with, is it TVJ, is at, would be 2 a.m. my time. And then we will just follow into the rally in somewhere in Clarendon. I think there's going to be a rally tonight. We will slip over into that after Mark Golden and his team sit down with TVJ tonight. So we will definitely come back tonight for rebroadcasting that. But hold on, YouTube. Let me just say goodbye to TikTok for now. TikTok, thank you very much for being here this evening. Join us back tonight for the Prime Minister sit down with TVJ and the Clarendon rally. Your battery is on 2% and I don't want it to go off, so I have to change device. But thank you for being here because we're going to end over here now. Thank you. Goodbye for now, TikTok. See you tonight for the TVJ sit down with Mark Golden. Oh, don't die on me. Right. Back to you on YouTube. How much more violations of this Prime Minister? Let me turn this projector off. Bear with. How much more of this Prime Minister's violation that you think you'll be able to go through for a few more years if we should give him the power in our country? I mean, we've seen the many dangers of Andrew Holness. We've seen the many waste of our public resources. We've seen how him and his family and his MPs have enriched themselves out of public resources. Do you want to go back down that road for another 5 years? Those are questions you ought to be asking yourself. What you have been given in the People's National Party manifesto is a progressive direction for the country, a turnaround as opposed to where the Jamaica Labour Party is taking us socially at the moment. It is up to you to choose your children's future, to choose a better country, a better Jamaica. That is your choice on Wednesday. Short of that, Jamaica, you could end up into a dictatorship. Something I guarantee you right now, you will regret. You don't want to come back another year and regret the mistake you would make if you do not do the right thing on Wednesday. The choice is yours, Jamaica. The power is in your hands. The direction of Jamaica is within you. You have the power to decide the direction of our country. Whether we move into a progressive direction, or is it that we go further down the path of authoritarianism and dictatorship? The choice, Jamaica, is yours, and you must make the choice in interest of your country, future, and children, rather than political alignment and tribalism. I want to thank you for being here this afternoon. Join us right back here tonight when we continue our campaign for a better Jamaica. So thank you all very much. Lovely to have your support. If you have not yet hit the like button, make sure you do so before you exit the program. Thank you all very much this evening. Join us back tonight for Mark Golden sit down with TVJ, and of course we will bring you whatever rally is going on. For those of you who heard about the doubling of the minimum wage. I never heard a word, and I'm not concerned because I know that just pigs can fly only if you glue wings onto them. Thank you, and good afternoon from Global TV.
Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation, because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. That's a people there. Make a man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear now hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside and rub and cheat, and not press the poor. Make up what I seen to. Make a man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a plan! Make a man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. My favorite man, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the didn't can sell out Rasta and sell it out. I sell out Babylon. Big man show one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Big man show one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the dead can sell out Rasta. I sell out Babylon. Yes, stop on the Friday. But show us stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black baby man, show us stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let him see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one, big man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what's a black big man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rasta man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what? With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.